Brilliant. Okay, well, welcome and thank you for joining me today on what is set to be a very powerful webinar jam-packed with insights. We are going to take you through why mail should be part of your marketing, what is already available to you with Dotdigital and ZAP POST, and crucially, why now is such a key time for offline channels. So, if we haven't met before, hello, I'm Grace. For over 14 years now, I have been creatively and strategically supporting big name businesses globally with their design and marketing. At ZAP, I'm available to consult on designs, be a second set of eyes, or clients can fully hire me to tackle all of their creative. And prior to my time here, I did 10 years on the client side, looking after design for a luxury interiors retailer. Not only have I seen the changing landscape, believe me, I have lived it. I am a firm believer that there really is no time like the present for human, tangible forms of connection. I proudly have a stack of backup greetings cards just in case someone's birthday creeps up on me. But extending beyond that, it's also an untapped marketing strategy that I am really glad that you've joined us here today to hear all about. It's now my pleasure to hand you over to Dotdigital's very own Mr. Barry Faulkner.
Hi guys, welcome today. I've worked at Dotdigital now for about 3.5 years, partnering with a wide range of businesses across retail, e-commerce, charities, travel, membership organizations, just to name a few, and among others. And in each case, I feel I've spent time with them helping teams understand the true potential of their customer data and how they can use it really to unlock new revenue opportunities. So by focusing on things like repeat purchases, retention, lifetime value, I've helped support brands in turning insights into meaningful, measurable growth. And I'm looking forward to unpacking a little bit of this today in today's webinar. I'll hand over to Andrew.
Thanks, Barry. As Grace mentioned, this is about direct mail with Dotdigital and the why now. And on that point, last night we had a raft of slides on the topic of why now, and then much to Grace's horror, I said, right, delete all of those slides, and so we did. There are slides, by the way, just briefly, we're referring to the 400 billion emails that get sent every day. I think we're getting about 120 emails each on an everyday basis. We're consuming up to 3 hours of short form content on social. We're enduring clickbait, fake news, disinformation, and AI slop is the new one. AI chatbots that now currently are refusing to process your refunds or let you speak to a human. And so those slides will all focus on the sort of digital bombardment and how it's collectively it's reducing our attention span to nanoseconds. So on that basis, I asked Grace to kind of get rid of all of those slides because we haven't got time to focus on them all. And instead, I thought we'd replace it with some more of our own, very own AI slop, which was an image created this morning. And talking of slop, there is a deliberate error in this image. And if you find it, please just pop it in the Q&A just for some fun. And talking of Q&A, this is a Q&A session as well, so please feel free to fire any questions you've got during the course of the session in the Q&A, and we'll try and pick them up at the end. We're going to be demonstrating in this session how DM is having a super strong resurgence. It's gaining significant traction as an additional channel in the marketing mix. We'll be addressing some of the myths, some of the facts, and how this channel can and should seamlessly slip into your marketing mix. We've also got some real life examples that I know Grace is going to share with you. But for now, I'm going to hand back to Barry, who will take you through drilling into some segmentation in Dotdigital.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Andrew. So RFM persona modeling, this is actually available to all Dotdigital customers. And it's a really powerful way to turn raw customer data into clear, actionable insight, effectively by analyzing the recency, so how recently someone has purchased, the frequency, so how often they buy, and the monetary value, how much they spend. businesses can quickly identify the most valuable customers, those at risk of churn, and those with high growth potential. Basically enables smarter targeting, knowing who to prioritize, how to tailor messaging, and offers to each segment and when to engage for maximum impact. So the result ultimately ends up in more relevant marketing, stronger retention, and increased lifetime value driven by data, not guesswork. Next slide, please, Grace. So just a little kind of infographic here, really. And I want to just tip my hat a little bit here to preference centers, actually. They are super important, actually, in terms of gathering data, but enabling marketers effectively to segment. So preference centers really put customers in control of how, when, and where they hear from your business. And that control is exactly what makes marketing more effective. So by capturing things like channel preferences, so if you prefer by email, SMS, WhatsApp, direct mail, content interests, communication frequency, marketers, they gain a clear consent-led insight into what's truly relevant for each individual. And then through smart segmentation of this data, you can create customer journeys that convert. It really empowers teams that, to move beyond that one-size-fits-all, campaign, and deliver tailored messaging on the right channels at the right time, whether that's via digital channels or direct mail. The result ultimately is higher engagement, improved deliverability, stronger trust, and ultimately better retention and lifetime value. Next slide, please, Grace. Thank you. In Dotdigital, we also extend the RFM to ERFM. It's our opportunities dashboard, or enhanced RFM modeling, and it takes traditional recency, frequency, and monetary analysis a step further by layering in customer engagement data and tenure. So instead of just understanding who buys, you understand who's actively engaged, who's losing interest, and who's still early in their life cycle journey with you. And ultimately, by combining that purchase behavior with signals like email engagement and length of relationship, businesses can prioritize high impact segments quickly. So reactivating at-risk customers, accelerating new customer growth, and maximizing value from loyal advocates. So it's a fast data-led way to move the needle on retention and revenue. Next slide, please, Grace. Thank you. And just a few snippets here on segmentation benefits, really. Segmentation, it transforms marketing from broad messaging into precision-driven growth. So according to the DMA, for example, segmented campaigns can drive, a 760% increase in revenue. Research from Dotdigital shows brands see a 7 times higher engagement compared to generic comms. And real-world customers using Dotdigital, they've achieved up to an 800% increase in orders. And the reason for all this is quite simple. When you speak to the right audience in the right way, whether it's digital or direct mail or a combination, with the right message and at the right time, relevance increases, engagement rises, and revenue follows. So segmentation isn't just a marketing tactic, it's actually a commercial growth driver. Thanks, Grace.
Thanks, Barry. Now, we've heard all of the tactics, so it's time I showed you how this can all be implemented in real life. Here is a great example from Harlow Timber Group team. When I say team, Holly Unwin single-handedly nailed this. The wider team weren't too keen on direct mail historically. Previously, it has presented attribution challenges, branding issues, and was an expensive option for the business. The combined Dotdigital and ZAP POST approach meant that they could send small, hyper-segmented campaigns that were low in cost, but packed a punch when it came to results. So one audience received mail focused on their local branch. It prompted the recipient to pop back in, have a human interaction, and it was sweetened with a discount. Any friction to respond was eliminated. A truly simple communication to a busy tradie operating in the local area. So that is branch-focused postcards, and then Barry's going to run us through the e-com reactivation.
Yeah, thanks, Grace. So the e-commerce reactivation postcard, that's actually a strong example of how enhanced RFM data can be used to target a specific customer segment. So in this case, it focused on customers who had shown low or no engagement over the previous 6 months and needed nurturing. And by identifying this group and delivering a relevant prompt, the campaign was intended to re-engage lapsed customers and encourage a repeat purchase. And I think Grace is going to go through some exciting results.
So here's the artwork that Holly sent out, and it's simple, but under the hood, you can see the personalization, location data, and clear, concise messaging. It quite literally says, Peter, if you need it, we've got it. Oh, and here's a discount. It's a message that Peter really can't argue or ignore. Direct mail used to be about catalogues and sharing entire subsets to your audiences, but this is a direct mail signpost to get back online. It's perfect for the recipient. So in this case, a busy tradesperson who just needs a trigger to go back to his local store. Then the results, I'll walk you through these. As you can see, they delivered incredible results. And I know that Holly, along with the Harlow Timber Group, were really pleased with performance. Not only did the numbers prove this, but being able to actually reach the people that you previously couldn't is a triumph. And if you would like to have a bit more of a read in the in-depth of this, you can scan the QR that's on screen right now.
I think it's probably worth adding that that campaign wasn't a one and done. It's ongoing. It's every single day that people meet that criteria. They drop into that segment, and out goes that same postcard, obviously personalised, not to Peter but to Paul or whoever. So it's an active live campaign going out every day. I'm also aware that that campaign was very retail focused. But I know the Dotdigital audience and the audience we have with us today, we extend way beyond retail into the world of charities, agencies, non-profits, public sector as well. And so it's true to say that the effectiveness of that retail campaign can absolutely be mirrored across to other sectors. So if you're done with your prep sandwich, we'll move on to some actionable steps as to how you can actually get this done yourselves.
Perfect. So talking about, I guess, understanding your data, I think is really quite key. You need to really get down to the nuts and bolts, understand what you already have, what's missing, and how you plan to collect and enrich that data. So Preference Center is a great example of proactively capturing valuable insight directly from customers. Ultimately, the more you understand about your audience, the more effectively you can deliver marketing that resonates. So the Dotdigital platform helps centralize that data and turn it into action, effectively enabling you to easily segment and then send the right message to the right person at the right time. Next slide. Thank you.
Okay, so identifying the purpose, just extending what Barry's just said, excuse me, is really understanding that segmentation and what kind of triggers are driving campaigns that are going out to end recipients. So we would refer to the triggers, in this case, the purpose is, in the case of non-profits and charities, could be lapsing or legacy donors, for example, and also your higher givers, donors, and things, simple stuff like anniversaries and birthdays. Obviously, all of those campaigns are, particularly when you're talking about anniversaries and birthdays, super low volume, real micro volume, but they're making a real impression on each and every recipient. In the world of retail, at-risk customers is a very obvious one. But also we've got some examples of abandoned browse and abandoned basket campaigns that are doing very well. And also new customers. The first time a customer shops, if you haven't got something sort of tangible to convey your brand in a parcel or package that you've shipped out to a new customer, follow up with a bit of a brand story in a direct mail form. It's just to reinforce and build the relationship with those customers. So there's lots of triggers depending on your sector and what your goals are for each individual in their life cycle. And on the subject of getting your data shipshape, I think it is it's essential that you have some ground rules, and those ground rules are that whilst your recipients, your audience, does not need to opt in to receive direct mail, they do have to have the ability to opt out. And in that scenario, you can send without any limitations whatsoever. Barry?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've already mentioned, obviously, starting, by capturing preferences, through preference center data, but you can also clean and standardize your existing data. So deduping, for example, we know that's, often a big problem, as well as integrating kind of all touch points. So a lot of businesses that I speak to, they've got a lot of disparate technology, a lot of great customer data, but in lots of different places. And then that involves a lot of manual uploads and downloads of data to try and get the insights. But ultimately, if you can integrate all of those touch points into that single customer view, you're going to save a huge amount of time, and then ultimately increase that marketing productivity. But it's about layering in behavioral insights as well. So using progressive profiling to deepen understanding over time. You don't want to just hit someone with give me all this information straight away. That's not a great customer experience. You want to sort of build that kind of profile over time. So thinking strategically about how you can do that. So whether it's using a form, a popover, for example, at different parts of the customer journey and life cycle, you just want to kind of progressively build that profile and understanding. And then it's about applying that segmentation, RFM modeling that we spoke about earlier, to identify that high value and at-risk customers. And then keeping on top of it, really, which is often the challenge for marketing teams, when you've got that strong data governance in place and those enrichment strategies rolling, ultimately what's going to happen is going to enable you to send personalized, timely, and highly relevant communications that really is just going to drive engagement, retention, and lifetime value, ultimately turning previously sparse and disparate data into measurable business growth. Thank you, Andrew.
Lovely. So building on what Barry has just said, the best performing mail campaigns that I see are personalised, relevant, and perfectly timed. At the top of the screen, there is an example from World Travel Holdings. They mail welcome back campaigns to travellers when they've just returned from a cruise. It's really human, with the concierge treatment that the customer has come to expect. So the person featured is the exact same member of staff who manages all of their bookings. This approach has resulted in a high amount of repeat bookings. And one customer in particular returned and booked 3 more cruises from one postcard. So at the bottom, similar but different, we've got the super dry example, which segments data on a male-female basis. And the pearl in the QR of this takes the recipient straight through to the checkout where their basket is waiting for them. Handing on to Andrew now.
Great. So, all of this is sort of wonderful stuff. We all know perhaps the elephant in the room. Well, yes, the myth, or the fact, if you like, that direct mail is an expensive and largely immeasurable channel. And until now, I think the best method of measuring your return on investment for any direct mail campaign has been to use test and control groups. So you're withholding a portion of your recipient base and see how they behave against the test. So whilst that is still a very valid method, the best outcome is it's going to be a generic understanding of incremental activity. You can also measure just QR code scans. That's easily done. You can measure them with full UTM tracking, so you're also getting that tracking into your Google Analytics and so on. And you could also measure promotion code usage if you're using a code. Easily done. But QR codes, you're going to capture between 1% and 5% of the overall response. Promotion codes between 10 and 20% of the overall response. It's just not enough. So through deep integrations, both with e-commerce stacks and marketing stacks, the very granular return on advertising spend reporting is available. And importantly, and we'll come on to this in a minute, is real time. So marketeers can now accurately and confidently measure their spend and their return on an everyday basis. So when you're marketing across multiple channels, attribution then becomes your biggest challenge. Do you measure on the last click basis, on the first click basis, on a share of click basis? That's when it starts to get particularly complex. But for the direct mail industry, the standard has been 100% of any resultant transactions, however you calculate a transaction, maybe a sign up, maybe the registration of some description. But regardless, any transaction is attributed to direct mail for 42 days post send date. That's 100% of that transaction. So as a marketing team, you may well have a different view, but as to how you attribute and whether it's a share of last click, first click, etc. But whatever method you choose, you've got to stick to it for a good year, so you have a constant view and get very well informed about the performance of each channel. And because I mentioned earlier, the whole reporting piece is real time, so are the customer journeys that result from them. So as a quick example of that, if a recipient scans a QR code on a postcard, that will trigger back through to Dotdigital, and through another customer journey, you can then trigger maybe sending an SMS message to that individual straight in real time. Or if a letter is returned to sender, it gets scanned at ZAP HQ. You can then trigger a new journey out of Dot to say, well, we sent you a letter, it got returned to sender, give us a new address. By that way, you're keeping enterprise grade data, clean data the whole time. I'm going to just carry on for a few more, another minute. There are other case studies we have. Again, they are a little bit retail focused, but hopefully you can see how these apply to your sector. We've got examples from Spoke, who's a very long time customer selling menswear trousers, seeing over a 10% conversion rate on a continual basis, not just a one and done. This other business, Bamboo Clothing, a while ago, sent a campaign out to lapsed customers, asking them to refer their friends on the friend referral scheme. It had a 14x return on investment and does not compute all of the new friends that then subsequently got referred. So it was counterintuitive marketing almost, but it had an incredible effect. There's a couple more. I know Grace has already mentioned World Travel Holdings, so I won't go into that. Again, Lanx is another shoe brand that enjoys, again, on a continual basis, more, in excess of a 10% conversion rate, which is astronomical. They'd also did a campaign over Christmas, sending out just an occasion card, just saying thanks for being a customer and wishing them happy holidays. And their conversion rate from that was even more, even though they didn't have a CTA. So that was just about building relationships. I'll pass back to Grace.
Thank you, Andrew. Now, we're not demonizing any form of media here. It all contributes to carbon footprints. At ZAP, we print on FSC certified paper with biodegradable inks, and we are currently reforesting the world with every ZAP posted. You can see a really hefty tree count there of what we've currently planted over the years. And right now they are reforesting Kenya and Tanzania via a company called Veritree. So should any mail get returned to us, it's scanned, shredded by our partners at Shred It, and it's turned back into kitchen roll, which I just think is brilliant. So you can give the QR at the top a scan if you fancy delving into everything like that.
Cool. And a little bit on Dotdigital. So some of you may or may not know, but we're actually the world's first carbon neutral customer experience and data platform. I always love speaking to businesses that have got an eye on sustainability. we're powered by 100% renewable energy, planting trees. For businesses, I suppose this ensures that every email, SMS, or campaign sent through the platform contributes to growth without adding to their environmental footprint. By choosing a carbon neutral partner, ultimately brands can engage customers responsibly, support global sustainability efforts, and play an active role in reducing the impact of marketing on the planet. So, yeah, I always like to give that a bit of a plug. And then summing up, actually, marketers today, they're facing many challenges. Ultimately, things like the rising customer acquisition costs is a big one. It's a lot of money to get new customers through the doors, of course. There's an overwhelming amount of digital noise. And the challenge really is cutting through all of that, with authentic messaging. So how do you position yourself as authentic, and really standing out and building trust? It's never really been harder. Most customers now, they expect personalization. So doing it in a way that's authentic is really challenging. So making it relevant and personalization is more critical now than ever, really.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And because you're all time poor, ZAP and Dot combined automates this process. So once it's set up, it's one-time setup. To get any campaign up and running, you obviously need to continually monitor its performance and change the creative every now and again. But that automation piece is very key. Sending direct mail nowadays is the same effort as sending it out an email or an SMS. It has been made that simple. Not the same as it was years ago, of course. Enables micro trials, so trialing really small volume is to be recommended, and you should also A/B test. Okay, so do a couple of versions. There will be a winner, there will be a loser. So once you've done your A/B test, you'll be able to easily know what's right going forward. And Dot also has the same functionality, of course. And one other thing to mention in that solution, whilst you're doing all of that, what you're also doing is continually cleaning your data in terms of addresses, where people are living. Are they still responding? Have they moved away? So you've always got enterprise grade clean data. And finally, just to wrap up on the return piece, we've spoken about it already, but you'll have the ability to measure your return on ad spend, your investment in direct mail, and indeed in all your marketing activities, both through Dotdigital, through ZAP Post, and of course through Google Analytics. It doesn't really, however you choose to attribute your spend, it's always your choice. As I said earlier, stick to the choice for at least a year until you decide to make some changes. And I guess one other pearl is that no one transaction is ever 100% attributable to one marketing channel. There's always many touch points that contribute to a transaction these days. Let me pass back to Grace.
Thank you, guys. So the one thing I hope you take away from today is that growth doesn't come from shouting louder. It's by connecting with those that you've quietly stopped reaching. That is where opportunity lives. And on screen, you've now got our emails. So please feel free to reach out to any of us. I do accept fan mail. Barry and Andrew, are there any questions in the Q&A that you'd like to tackle now? We've had a few come in, so have a little check. We can take things offline if not.
But look, I think Amber Land has popped something in there for Andrew, something that was hiding in your original picture. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Well done to Amber. Prize in the post.
That was the alarm clock saying that it was 3:47 a.m. and that in fact it was light. So yeah,
very well done.
Dystopian world, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And Amber, you dropped another question in there. What's the average conversion rate for a direct campaign like this? That was at 12:43. So was that in relation, I'm assuming, to the Harlow Brothers leaflets. Correct. Yes, that's right. Yeah. So, and I think, Grace, did you have some conversion slides on that?
We
Would you-
did.
Conversions?
So the conversion stats for that, and let's have a look.
20%, if I recall, on that particular campaign.
20% conversion rate for that one, and a ratio of 1 to 41 of ROAS. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, standout campaign.
Yeah. And like I said back then, you can check the whole story about that one online on our impact stories. Yeah.
Let's have a look here. So I've got another question just come in from Dan Collis. Super interesting. Curious if any contacts that were targeted due to not being able to be reached digitally then became re-engaged on digital email channel again after the DM piece. That is a good question. Maybe we take that back to the team at Harlow Brothers actually and find out. Dan, we will come back to you on that one.
Okay. Great. Well, look, thanks all for joining. It's been fun. I hope it's been useful. And I think Grace will be circulating, or Power of Zoom will be circulating a catch-up for you to refer back to, or if you've missed it and you're getting it on catch-up, you should be able to get that via email in the next 24 hours, I think, Grace. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to Barry and thank you to Andrew.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
See you later.